computing the weighted average cost of capital means creating a weighted average between the cost of debt capital and the cost of equity capital. And you're going to need this because this is going to be the rate that you're going to use to determine the present value of the future cash flows related to the stock. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to create a weighted average between liabilities and equities. So you would take the intrinsic value of the liabilities, not the book value, and the intrinsic value of the equity, not the book value of the equity, and you do a weighted average of the two. So let's talk about how we would do this. Here, Midwest Corp has 5.3% cost of debt and 7.8% cost of equity, based on the calculations that we've been talking about before. 5.3% would be the total interest paid divided by the total average debt outstanding. 7.8% would be based on the capital asset pricing model. The market value of the debt is $25.60, and the market value of the equity is $43.50. So you would plug all these numbers into the formula, and you would get a weighted average cost of capital of 6.9%. So the really nice thing about this is that it incorporates the risk associated with debt and equity into determining what the overall value of the firm is. Now, if you're going to use preferred stock, not many companies have preferred stock. I'd say like less than 1%. We're always talking about preferred stock. Then you would need to split up equity into common and preferred portions and add that to the intrinsic value. So you would have three components. You would have debt, you would have equity, and your common equity, and you have preferred equity. The original edition of this book used this formula entirely, even though most companies don't use preferred equity. And this brings us to the dividend discount model, which is a huge step. What we're going to do is by estimating the future dividends and the future value of the stock, we can take the present value of all of that and determine what the value of the stock should be. Because the value of the stock is really the present value of all future dividends. And you think about it, a company ideally is going to pay dividends forever. So if you could get the present value of all those dividends into the infinite future, because there's going to be a dividend, let's say, every 6 months, and your discount rate will be the cost of equity capital because dividends come from equity, then the present value of that is going to be the real value of the stock. Now, there's a problem here because we don't really know if the company is going to survive into perpetuity or not. So, and the value of the stock is always the present value of the future dividends. So, we can go on into the future and we could realize that at any given time, the value of the stock, 10 years from now, the value of the stock is going to be the present value of all the future dividends after 10 years. Today, the present value is the present value of all the future dividends today. And so the value of the stock itself is based on future dividends. So this is what's called recursive because the value today depends on dividends and the value of the stock at some future point in time. And the value of the future stock at some point in future time is going to be based on the future dividends from then. So the intrinsic value of equity would be equal to the dividends, let's say received at the beginning of third period 1, plus the stock value at the end of period 1. And that's 1 plus cost of equity. But the stock value at the end of period 1 is going to be based on the dividends received during period 2, plus the stock value at the end of period 2, and so on and so forth. So what you can actually do is you can make this into a model. And you can say that the intrinsic value is equal to the dividend plus the expected future stock value divided by 1 plus the expected rate of return. And then get a value, in this case, $31.13. So $31.13, giving you a return of 7.6%, would include $1.50 dividend plus $32 selling the stock for $32. So this can be expanded into a series of dividends, going on and on and on into the future. So the value of the stock, and this is really what we're getting at here, would be every dividend forever divided by 1 plus the return plus the expected return to the power of the number of periods, on and on and on into the future. And that's going to go on forever. Now, an added piece to this is that the dividends are going to increase, because dividends don't stay the same every period. So each year we could also build into this some kind of growth factor, which I'll explain on the next learning objective.